And action. Hello, I'm Nate, and this is my wife, Kristen.
And together,
we're great. So we're here to talk about this next episode in the Married at First Sight.
Episode 8, Season 18.
We're here to bring you all the details, all the developments, all the good things.
All the good things.
Yeah, so with that, we can just dive right in.
Dive right in. Yep, these couples are doing their housewarming parties, and we see how they're getting along back in the real world of Chicago. No honeymoon anymore. So we're going to jump right in to Juan and Carla. So what we first see is Carla and Juan in the apartment. She's talking about how she's going to sage the apartment, and they're cleaning the house. I thought it was interesting. She was trying to ignite the stove and to warm the sage, or maybe she's not used to stove.
Wait, are you saying sage or stage?
Sage.
Sage. So she's doing her little seance, whatever thing.
Yeah. So, and she has some smelly plants. I don't know why they were smelly or how they were smelly, but I was like, but she's like she always feels like she's one with nature, one with energy. So I don't know, maybe she got it from the energy outside, garbage, I don't know. But anyway, they are talking about the party and the togas, and they have their little playful with the togas and things like that. And she talks about her friend Yinka coming, and we find out that Yinka's a boy. So I thought it was interesting. It was funny. I mean, he's a fun boy.
He was a man.
Yeah, fun man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they go to the parties and things like that, and they're telling their friends, or they're talking to each other's friends at the parties because, Carla's friends come, Juan's friends come.
Yeah, and they combine to make an interesting group. I have to say, though, I feel like his Juan's boyishness really stands out in like the whole college vibe, with the whole toga party. Yeah. You see that he's around the clock kind of goofball. I don't think I noticed that as much before.
25-8.
25-8. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He's talking to one of the friends, and she says, "What do you guys need to work on?" or things like that. He's like, probably communicating, and he's like, "What can I do?" Or the friend's like, "Do you compliment her?" He's like, "No, not really."
I haven't felt the need to.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. I don't want to get. He's like, I don't want to do it too much. I'm like,
I don't want to overdo.
Yeah, I don't want to blow her head up. No, he doesn't say that, but it's just like, why not compliment her? Even especially if he's thinking about, if he has a thought about doing it and doesn't. Yeah. So the friend also says he doesn't. She says that because he's not complimenting her, different things like that. He has and with his jobs and things like that, feels like he's not putting in 100%. And I think Carla also had confided in that friend that he wasn't putting in 100%. And when Juan kind of agrees, like, "Oh yeah, I'll work on it," the friend's like, "I hope you're not saying like lip service and actually gonna do it." I think later on, moving on, there's a clip of them about to go to bed.
And they have a conversation. And Carla brings it up because, for several reasons. I feel like she brings it up because she's not feeling it. She's not feeling the affection that she communicates that she needs.
Yeah, but the way she asks, she's like, "How do you feel loved? How do you like to feel loved?" And she's trying to get the answer of how she wants to be loved. But
he doesn't really get what she's asking.
Yeah, and she's like, "I like affection," and then he's standing. He couldn't be further away from her. Okay.
In the bed, rolled up in his little covers.
And so that's interesting because that's kind of the first time we're starting to see Juan really, or I start to question is he really into her? And so the next thing from them I'll bring up is that they have a flag football game with all the married couples from Married at First Sight. And when Carla's around the girl, she says it feels like she's kissing her cousin because they only kiss on the cheek. And she says it feels platonic. And that would make sense, feeling platonic if you're only doing kisses on the cheek and minimal affection. It doesn't even have to be into sex or things like that. Even just, don't seem to be doing a lot of that, the hand holding or things like that. And Juan, we actually found out that Juan says he's not feeling that organic chemistry, and he can't put his finger on it. So I'm like, oh, now it's finally confirmed. Yeah. What did you think about that?
Well, that was a surprise, because you could definitely tell that they have some kind of chemistry. But that might just be all Carla, like driving the narrative with how because she's of the two a little bit more flirty, a little bit more affectionate, and we might have just read into that as both of them having that for each other. But to give some fairness to Juan, he did communicate earlier on that his love language was like people doing actions, like acts of service. And later they did a clip of him like cleaning up the apartment by himself, and I feel like he is not that maybe that's not speaking to him the way that she's like just like leaving everything for him to do.
I wish I had a cap, because I just feel like that's all cap for him, talking about how it's all like he likes acts of service. I think if he was really more into her, then like I think that physical, that physical touch would be more. Also, he also makes the excuse about like, I have 2 jobs and the gym. It's like, I don't know what it is with these guys in the gym. Like,
so we'll go back to this in the future, but like this is the first time that we hear this of what we're going to talk about so far. Yeah. But like where Juan uses his 2 jobs and the gym as a reason for it's harder to find those times to be affectionate. But that doesn't make sense to me. I feel like a gym is not really shouldn't be a barrier to connecting with someone if you're going to make time for what's important. That should be like secondary. Yeah. There's also other ways to get exercise than the gym.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he can't put his finger on why he's not feeling the organic chemistry. Maybe she's not speaking his love language. Maybe I think there might be something
more
there.
Used to dating maybe white girls. That's what the streets are saying. So it's just not his type. So. Yeah, that's a thing. So yeah. All right. So
continuing on that thread of people not having chemistry. Madison and Alan. So they started on the honeymoon where Madison was more vocal about not having that romantic chemistry with Alan. But you see Alan's stepping up for the 2 things that she's asking for, that he work on his style and go to the gym. Yes. So they start out going to the gym, and what do you think of that?
It's just interesting to see like Alan, like he's trying to keep up with Madison, and he's always making jokes and stuff like that. But it seemed like, I don't know, maybe it's just the clips, but it seemed like they had a good time.
Yeah, they were laughing.
They were laughing.
They had this weird mountain climber.
Yeah, it was a climber. I don't know what that is, because it's not a stepper or it's not a stairs. It's not elliptical. It's just
the next.
Yeah. So she said she's having a good time watching him suffer through it. I was like, oh my gosh.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that was.
We later hear that she is also going to the gym with someone else.
Yes, with David.
So
I'm like, are they going to do a couple swap? I don't know if they're going to do that. Maybe so. Let's see. Alan brings up that he's happy to spend some quality time with Madison. And wants to carve out more that time, because they just get into their routine. They go to work.
She goes to happy hour.
Yeah. She goes to happy hour, leaves him. Yeah.
And that seems to be a routine too.
Yeah. So it is. But we also see that the next day, Madison makes breakfast in bed for Alan. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Pancakes and stuff like that. And then she tells him to leave the house. And we're like, oh, why? But it's because she wants to plan a surprise party for him. So when he comes back, there's the party. It looks like she put a lot of thought into the decorations and things like that, with the little Jaguar. It's even though the Jaguar is white, they put a blue one on the thing. Yeah. What did you think of that?
Well, I thought it was really sweet that she's trying. She does seem to be putting in the effort, like with the surprise party, and all this stuff. But he also, like, on the heels of like how she's kind of comes and goes to happy hour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With that, I feel like Alan's reading it like, oh, she's just more time with her girls.
Yeah.
So and he kind of walks out of the place like, oh, forget me. Like, and so I feel like that could have been maybe the surprise part element wasn't, it was really sweet, I think, but I feel like Alan might not have taken it that way at first. So it really was a surprise to him as well, which I think lifted up his spirits a little bit later on. But there was that element where I feel like that wasn't on the heels of those other kinds of times. It might not have been the best approach for her.
Right. But he still seems to be appreciated.
Yeah, when the party happens.
They do talk with each other's friends. And Alan says that he feels like he's kind of giving more and that he kind of has more of a slower lifestyle. She's like, go, works out, does all these things, likes to go out with like, people. And, he brings up the fact that she went to a game with a friend without him. And it would have felt nice for him to be invited. I'm glad to see that he's finally realizing enough is enough. I really want to, be included. And he's trying to ask the friends how he bridges, their kind of sort of friendship into romance. And they said to just vocalize his feelings more and she'll be receptive to it. So we will see about that. I think all his friends also talk about he's a good man, things like that. You got a good man here. It's like, just tell him what to do. He'll change it. And I guess that's good to some extent. But not that you have to change your partner, but it is good to see that he is flexible. I just hope that he can know his limits and things like that.
So Alan's got a few things going for him. He's got his friends vocalizing for him, like vouching for him. Yeah. He's surrounded by good friends. He's got a stable job. He's got Jaguar. Yeah. He's got a little bit of extra flair, maybe a little too much for Madison.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like it is platonic. It is more of a friendship.
Yeah.
And I know he wants to bridge it.
Yeah.
Maybe if he keeps going to the gym, I don't know. Because later on when they're talking in the circle after the football game, she doesn't really share. She shares that they're still not feeling. She's still not feeling into him yet.
Yeah.
Despite his efforts, and she's also that also comes from the fact that he wasn't at the football game. He kind of left her. She also organized that too, so she's an organizer. So he didn't show up for that because with it being his birthday, he had too many tequila shots, and he just, I guess, had a hangover. But him not being there really made her a little angry.
Yeah.
So
that
was a chance for him to try to connect, and he kind of blew that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. She said he was grumpy too when he was hungover. So finally not seeing a happy side of him.
Yeah.
So, she's annoyed. And, that's where we kind of leave them for that couple. It still kind of seems like it's the trend of Madison really not being impressed enough by Alan. So, yeah, we'll see as the time goes on. But it is nice that she's doing stuff for him. We'll see if that really turns into something. But, yeah.
I am afraid, though, when they do have the conversation, that if they do get into a physical altercation, I'm worried for Alan's health. That she's really going to tear.
She'll knock him out.
Yeah, she could take him out.
She really could.
Yeah.
All right.
So, next couple.
MM and Ike. Okay. So they decide, inspired by Mexico, they're going to do a Mexican themed party. As always, MM is always doing everything. And she got the decorations, the tacos, and Ike is like
it's a pattern. She's always doing everything.
Is. And then Ike is like, oh, where'd you get the tacos? And then he's like, oh, I could have made the tacos. And she's like, oh.
You didn't voice that.
Yeah, you didn't voice that. And you actually still can. He's like, no. And she's
I could have, I would have, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I won't.
Yeah. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was like this weird, passive-aggressive, I want to look like I'm trying.
I'm just over him. Yeah. And then, so the people come over, of course, MM has her cousin and maybe cousin's girlfriend or visit another one of her friends or family. I don't know. But he's kind of apprehensive of the cousin because the cousin was grilling him at the wedding. Because I feel like he didn't really seem like
he just picked up from where he left off.
Yeah.
That conversation.
Yeah. And
so it added a lot of tension for sure.
Yeah. And Mim says that she feels safe around him and that she's not going to have walls up. And I'm like, maybe this is the one place where you kind of should put your walls up, or this relationship you actually should. But she'll learn, or it seems like she is learning. But Ike says it's easy to converse, and I just want to put my cap on right now because like, why are they both capping and saying like it's so easy?
The cap.
The cap.
Yeah.
And the cousins ask how they would. Oh, the cousin asked how they would.
I think.
Okay. Well, their loved ones ask how they would describe each other. So Ike for her says, beautiful. He's like,
3 hours later.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
No, he's just like, beautiful. With no emotion. Like ambitious. He says like aggressive
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she takes offense to that, rightfully so, because there's a stigma of black women and things like that in there, and being aggressive. And it's just so interesting because she's not really. Like it's so weird. Like that he would describe her as that, because that's not even what she is. And then he's like, "Well, I'm not saying she's a big bad wolf." I'm like, "Wait, how did we get to comparing her to the big bad wolf?"
No one said that. Yeah. If anything, she's aggressive with her day planner.
Yeah.
And she just does what like organizes her life.
Right.
And
what's wrong with that?
Tries to include him in it.
Yeah.
And this is weird.
And then he says, or she describes him as like smart, laid back, creative, nonchalant. And then he has the nerve to be offended by nonchalant. But I
don't like the connotation.
Yeah. And the friend's like, well, I don't like the connotation of aggressive. And so I really feel like
that about you, he said.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And that sticks with MM. And I just feel like the first time that, she's letting us know to the cameras that she's like, just not happy with, some of the things he's saying. And she even brings it up to his friends. And the friends say that he thinks the differences are a good thing. And I'm like, okay, that's...
Could be. But that's like such a blanket statement, like opposites attract, this and that. But it's more than that.
Yeah, and the cousin once again with the grilling on the
both
grill.
Sides,
yeah. And he asked like, "What does the future look like? Living together, joint bank accounts." And then Ike is like, "We'll see. This is in a normal situation." And he keeps bringing that up, like, okay, like it's not a normal situation, yes, but what are you gonna do? Because you do have more of a limited time to get to know somebody. I know that he's like, well, you want me to fall in love like immediately with a stranger? It's like, no.
Yes, you signed up for this. That's literally in the paperwork before you show up.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not here to appease you.
Like,
oh my gosh.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's just trying to like inch his way out of everything. And he really dodged the question of, can you see yourself falling in love? He's like, I can see myself being, seeing her 2 weeks from now.
Enjoying her in the future.
Enjoying her, yeah.
That's such a... Yeah, just objectifying her. I see myself enjoying her.
Yeah.
Like, is that not a two-way street?
Yeah.
And if anything, but also the excuse of like her being from Chicago and he's from the South.
Yeah.
Being the justification for calling her aggressive, like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So I agree with you. MM should put up some walls.
She should. Yeah, because it's just not. Yeah. It's not going anywhere, and I feel like we harp on it all the time. Like that's just, oh man. I feel like in the previews, like she goes, or like they get into it. So finally, I think MM's gonna realize it, because Ike is just here for the cameras. That's what I think. I mean, he was applied for Houston and he didn't get it, and now he moved up to Chicago, and that's what I think. I think he's just here for the cameras. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to David and Michelle. So he always like has
Start
his
with
little
David,
solo cam.
Yeah. It like I almost expect like something running from his nose, like he's running trying to find the Blair Witch.
Exactly. Yeah, always doing that.
Here's my day, and he flips his hair. Yeah. His curly hair, his locks.
Yeah. Michelle talks about, no surprise, that their marriage is still rocky. But Michelle is looking forward to the party because it's in a group setting and they do better in group settings. They talk about how their communication really hasn't been that well. And David's like, well, I left a note. And she was like, he wants some reciprocation, but she calls out that he didn't come home last night. And she's like, what do you want me to do? Like, write a letter back? Like, also, you didn't come home last night if you're calling me out for that. So it's just like, I don't know. I just don't think, people are getting anywhere. Why isn't he coming home at night, firstly? I mean, not firstly, but that's interesting that he's not coming home. I mean, but maybe he just doesn't.
He's going to work out.
Yeah, to work out to the gym. Oh yeah, he came back from the gym with Madison. Side eye. Maybe. Oh, like, yeah. Wait, where was she? Where was he on that first night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on that first night that Madison stepped out.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I bet he could handle those mountain climber gadgets or whatever too. So
yeah. David always talks about how he's trying really hard. He has set a dead end, but I feel like he's just like playing the victim card now. I mean, like I just feel like why does he want to stay in this? Because Michelle has not given him any, it's just, I don't know. At this point, it doesn't make sense for him to keep saying like I'm trying. It's like at this point, put in the towel.
Yeah. It's a one-way street.
Yeah. So they have the one-on-one talks with friends. David says it's rough and he wants insight from friends. He brings up like lifestyle being different, asks if he has a chance. And the friends answer with like, well, you got to ask yourself, what are you doing to enhance her life? It's like, it just feels like a get type of.
It's very materialistic.
Yeah.
And although she later on they're talking, she's like, well, I don't want to it's not just the money that I was looking for. Or it wasn't just about money that was on my list of things I wanted in a husband. But she didn't follow that up. Like, what did she want? Like, what else was on that list? And what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I also appreciated how when she sat down with David's friend, he really called to attention, like, success means different things to different people, but also like maybe there's just a different strategy for saving money or like building up towards something meaningful with someone you care about, like a wife.
Yeah.
And that might be the logic behind just renting or like living with parents.
Yeah.
Which is totally legit. I feel like, especially with the market, even whenever this was filmed, it was probably like early 20 or late 2023 maybe. I don't know. Yeah. And that she doesn't really seem to be aware of other options. And the whole lifestyle that she works so hard for, she's just got like a basic apartment.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, it's
there's some other double standard going on, or she's not really defining what she needs.
And it's so funny because the friend is like, well, how much do you pay for rent? She's like, $23.50. And he's like, well, I own and it paid like $12.50 like a month. And I'm just like, ooh, like that was sort of like, I mean, I don't know where you're going to find mortgage for $12.50 these days. You probably bought it a little earlier. Sorry, I was catching a fly because I like catching flies. That's one thing about me. And yeah, like it's just interesting because it does. And even if you're going off of financials, like, that guy's, that mortgage is going in towards a home and she's paying double for something that she doesn't own.
Yeah.
So that's just really interesting to me. And I feel like that's hopefully that's a reality check, but I don't think it's going to be. And the friend also says he can buy anything he wants or David could buy anything he wants.
He's stacking money.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Well, I don't know if that's true. It's not giving that. I guess I can see what Michelle kind of like, why she might not be like attracted to him besides like the living at home. I think his aura is kind of like immature or just emotionally like, I don't know. It's just,
he's fun loving and you can't really see the serious side of him.
Yes, he just seems like he makes like a lot of immature decisions, like the tattoo of the girl. Like I don't know. That's what it's giving to me. But
Well, I don't know. I think immature could be subjective. Like for him, it seemed like one way to. Yeah, well, that's not for us to decide. But for her, it did seem like that. That's what she said.
Yeah,
so that's true.
The friends tell Michelle that sooner or later he's going to shut down big time.
Yes.
And so also David cooks for her and she loves his cooking, so that's good. She also talks about how, like, did you just ask for blonde hair, blue eyes? You were talking about the checklist earlier, but I just thought that was a funny thing
And he's like,
to
well,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
like loyalty, honesty, something else, which is like there probably was.
Yeah. That is so funny. And Michelle says he should continue to be himself. I feel like it's the same old, like with them. They say that they both say when they're at the flag football, when she's with the guys or she's with the girls and he's with the guys, that they feel better because they're on the same page. But I think it's just because they on the same page about like not really communicating, and maybe because they've already had a separate talk about not working out or something like that.
We've seen what it looks like when they have conversations off camera.
Yeah. So
with producers and such.
Yeah, they're the for sure couple that's not going to make it. We knew this, and it's just like at this point it needs to be their decision day. I keep saying that, but it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah, David's not coming home. She's shutting down. She's only comfortable when there's other people around.
Yeah, which is
that's
like,
a
what
flag.
is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
in a marriage, like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. All right, moving on to still our favorite couple, even though they become more complex.
They do become more complex because I was afraid they'd be two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Given that it seemed like they were harping on a similar issue. I mean, granted, it's only a few weeks into it, but I was expecting more depth, and they did dive into it. And I'm talking on the issue of like the kind of issue of race between each of them, and the complexity of like each of them coming from firstly a different kind of growing up in different spaces, whether it was like a school that was like maybe what was it, like 5% black, whereas in her words she grew up more city. And she would call herself a city girl.
Yeah, not a city girl.
Or what would you say? What would you say that she said about how she grew up?
Yeah, no, I was making a joke because city girl has another connotation, but like
Get to that.
Yeah. I mean that's how I describe it. I just was making a joke about it.
Yeah.
So. We see that Camille is driving Thomas and her sister to the party. Seems like her sister's the mediator, and that she should just be an expert at this point because she's
she's a really good she's not just a good mediator for relationship stuff, but also she dives into the topic that's plaguing both of them.
Yeah. So the first scene that we see them, they're driving to the party. Sister's in the back. And first of all, why is Camille driving? I mean, that's fine, but also no, like they're talking about the swag. It's like, it would be a little cool, see him whipping a little bit. That's attractive.
One arm.
Yeah, the one arm, the Instagram reels where they talk about, or just to see, your a man drive, it's attractive. So that should be something. So I noticed again, like there was an instance of the honeymoon where he didn't grab a drink for her, and then he also didn't at the party. So I was like, man, this guy, he's gotta know. But I guess they already had tequilas, so he didn't think that they would need another one. So whatever, that's fine.
I don't think that's worth reading into. Like the fact that he's just not attentive to them like a bartender.
The second time though, but it's okay.
It's third time where it's a pattern.
Okay,
second
I'll be looking
time
out for the
it could
third
be
time. So they all are together, the pool party with all the friends, with her friends and family and his friends and family. And they talk about, what do they know about each other? And they seem like they do a good job, figuring out or recalling what they know about each other, like the basic stuff. Favorite color, favorite food, things like that. I mean, that's basic.
Very basic.
Yeah, and then they say that, Thomas is like lighter skinned than she's ever dated. And she also goes for the loud shot of guys, which the friends are quick to recall, like, which hasn't worked for you, girl, which hasn't worked. And they also say for Thomas that Camille is one of the more genuine girls that he's dated, because usually people just want something from him or like are about what they can get. So they also say that they haven't had intimacy yet, but Camille talks about how they've turned a corner. friend talks about, or one of the friends talks about how she doesn't think it's 100% match because she doesn't really think, or she says it's not her usual type. And I think what was really big, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger every episode, is the cultural differences that Camille sees between them.
It's all in her perspective, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's just perspective.
Well, she's the one who's bringing it up, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
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 So for Thomas, it's a non-issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for her, it is.
Yeah. And so when they ask her, like, his twin brother is like, so like, yeah, he talked to me about cultural differences, but like, what do you exactly mean?
Which was confusing. Them being twins and like almost wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he talks about, she says, you know, where, you know, how they grew up or things like that. Or like he was telling her how he used to go to a bar a lot where it's known to have racial instances or like racial like tensions and things like that.
His friends, like, they know what she's talking about. Everybody seems to know what they're talking about, but not us.
Yeah, or like what? Like, what does that have to do with, he asked you, like, about the cultural differences, and you talk about a bar that he went to that he told you about. It was his, like,
so it's
from his story.
Yeah. So, in his experience, he went to a place where there were issues, which maybe he had no part of. She mentions nothing about him being a part of that. He just went there.
Yeah, maybe she didn't like that he was a bystander. I don't know, or like that he went to a place that tolerated some stuff. So I don't know.
It's tough.
So yeah, but brother also says that, you know, she'll probably be the one to push him. So it's good. Their families seem to like each other, their friends and stuff. You know,
they get along.
Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah.
Thomas assumed that she dated light skinned guys because she was light skinned, and she was like, I don't get, you know.
Talking head. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't know. It's not, like, super, like, you know, off to think that. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, and she got really offended by it, so.
I guess he was making an assumption there.
Mm-hmm. It was an assumption, yeah.
But, like, yeah, definitely. So.
Yeah, I didn't know why she got so offended by it.
Yeah, we definitely needed to see more about why.
Yeah. Thomas asks, is it a red flag that we're culturally different? She says, no, it's not necessarily a red flag. And then she asks him if he's dated black women. He said he had a long-term girlfriend in college that was black. And they also kind of had, it was similar to Camille. Like she had the same background as Camille. And then they kind of bumped against those, I think they might have bumped against those same issues. Yeah, so
the same issue that they're experiencing now, he's experienced before with her.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I'd hope that it would make her feel a little bit better to know that he's dated black women, you know, in the past. I know she talks about how he's culturally white, or that they're in an interracial relationship, which is funny. Yeah, like maybe gives her some, I don't know, reassurance. It's like, you know, he has dated black women in the past before, so.
So on the surface, what I see is that she wants to feel secure in the idea that she sees him, that he knows where she's coming from, and can like meet her halfway there, or you know, understand her at least, because maybe this is just guessing, but maybe she hadn't felt seen or heard in the past, maybe even due to like the racial stuff that she's talking about.
Yeah, I see that. I feel that also, I get that on, you know, wanting to feel secure and things like that. I think that comes with that is maybe some type of like even shame of like of whiteness, I guess. Just like, I don't know, maybe trying to, I don't want to say overcompensate. Like, it's just that there might be some shame that comes into like it maybe because she culturally grew up where it was kind of like, you know, the norm to just like, you know, to be super like immersed in black culture or things like that. And so not having that is kind of like, I don't know. It's not
you're an outsider.
It's not what she pictured. Yeah, you're an outsider. It's like it's like a more it's like I don't know, an isolating experience, but it's just like, this is not the mark. It's like settling because, you know, maybe she's thinking like she should be with, you know, a black guy, and like, and that's what, and it needs to look like X, Y, and Z. And he is a black guy. I mean, they might not have the same, you know, background, but I definitely think that there might be some shame in that, and maybe even internally in herself that she might have to do some digging about.
Well, which is great. Or I think the sister kind of steps in when she talks about to both of them about, kind of brings some of that to light, like what we just talked about, which I think was really cool. And she's not just saying that as, you know, her sister or as a black woman, but she also, it also seems that has studied this, at least at the graduate level or something like this.
Yeah,
she really is an expert, and I think she does bring to light this issue for both of them. But one thing that I noticed too is that Thomas, I think for the first time in that conversation, was seeing it for also the fact that it's a different experience for her, not just racially, but also as a woman. Yeah. And I don't think I think for him, it was just a race thing. Yeah. Like the racial stuff, but it was also with her being a woman that I think he wasn't aware of at first. Yeah. Like
the sister was saying that, like, you know, it's different experiences for men and women. Like black men may identify as black first, but, you know, black women, you know, like even just the word POC is not like something distinct enough to describe because they just have such more distinct experiences. So I just think I love the kind of like the insight that she brought. It's like the insight, the empathy, the understanding. It's just like she needs to be hired on as an expert.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, you know, in the commercials that they are like, you know, trying to move more towards, you know, intimacy and stuff like that. So that's a good sign. So I'm looking forward to that. They're the only couple I'm really looking forward to, honestly.
Yeah. So we're definitely hoping the best for them. Yeah. Although they know for themselves in real life now. We're still hoping for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we close out, I just want a few thoughts on like, in terms of like hiring like an expert that can delve into relationships when they come to like either racial tensions or identity issues, because like the way they cast these people, they're not a lot of the times they are biracial. And I feel like that's an element that we haven't really seen before. Yeah. And I think it would be good to have an expert to dive in when those things become an issue. Like one reason I feel like we root for Thomas and Camille is like I'm biracial as well, and it's just easy to identify with this issue here, and we don't really see a lot of attention brought to that, at least on MAFS yet. So you think they'll bring her on?
The sister?
No.
No, but they have their own personal. That's nice that they have their own personal expert right there.
That's true, at least in their personal lives. Yeah. But I mean, for the general public, I think it could be a beneficial thing. Yeah.
Maybe Pia could do it.
Yeah. Pia? Yeah.
She's probably the closest one. But,
let us know your thoughts. We can maybe have a conversation there.
Yeah.
And if not, we can just continue on to the next one.
Yep. Well, thank you. We'll be here next week. Crate Productions.
And close.